Hello and welcome to Fix More, Waste Less, where I try and fix broken electronics and keep them out of the landfill. Today we have a broken DSi. Let's get it out of the package and see what's wrong with it. Okay, so the listing said that it had a broken right trigger. So I think the first thing we gotta do is see if it actually turns on. But overall, it looks to be in pretty good shape. A little rough around the edges, but nothing that we hopefully can't get out with a little cleaning. Okay, so after letting it charge up and turning it on, I test it out and see that the shoulder buttons are indeed not working great. The left one works pretty well, but the right one, while it does register, you have to push down really hard on it, and it doesn't always register, which isn't what you want when you're trying to play your game. We'll see if we can't get that working a little bit better, but to get there, we have to take it apart. DSIs are pretty simple. They use regular Phillips screwdrivers, nothing too complex, nothing you really need any specialty tool for. There are several screws on the back, a very tiny one behind the game slot, so you want to be careful about that. Make sure you keep that one separated out. Two to take off the battery cover, like so. And then there are two more screws behind the battery cover that are keeping the case secured. There are also two behind little rubber nubs. I used a dental tool to pry those out. It worked pretty well. Now let's open her up and be careful because there is a ribbon cable connecting the bottom half of the case to the main board of the DS. It does take a bit of prying to get the case apart, and if you have a better tool than your fingernails, like a guitar pick or something that's actually designed to open up electronics, that might be better to use. But you can see, as I pulled it apart, I just pulled the cable out. It didn't do any damage, but I was lucky. You want to be a little bit more careful than I was. And now looking at it, the inside looks great. There's no visible damage, no water damage, no other issues that could be causing other problems that we don't know about yet. And here, testing the buttons, they sound clicky. They seem to respond. Nothing inside that's broken, but we'll get them apart and see if we notice anything different. There are two screws holding the black brace in place. You can take those out and you can pop out the button assembly, which consists of a spring and a very tiny little metal rod that you could very easily lose if you're not careful. You can see it here. I went ahead and took out the stylus pin assembly, which consists of another 3 screws. And here you can see the button assembly, which is attached to the board. It's a simple button. Doesn't look to have any issues. It's not broken. So what I did was I took some isopropyl alcohol, dipped a Q-tip in it, and used that to thoroughly clean the button assembly. I didn't soak it or anything like that, just really got it in there deep as I could with a Q-tip to try and clean out any of the grime and the dust or dirt that can accumulate over the years. I was really hoping it was a simple fix like that, nothing actually wrong with the button assembly or the contacts, and just dirt preventing it from really registering when you click, which does seem to be a common problem with these DS shoulder buttons. Truth be told, I had to assemble and disassemble this a couple times to really get the buttons working well. I actually used the dental pick I had before to kind of get in there and really clean it out. I use a can of compressed air to help blow out some of the dust, and I ended up cleaning both triggers because they just seem to be a weak point with these DS lights that tend to go. And while it's not broken and it's still usable and clearly fixable, something you want to, I guess, prevent over time that it's going to come back to bite you. And there's also on this side, a small little washer that fits in there. And there you can see the button assembly for the left side. Oh, and there goes that piece again. Like I said, watch out for those, because they are kind of actually necessary to hold the trigger buttons in place. So, with that cleaned, let's reassemble the DSi, test it out, and clean it up. Alright, well, reassembling is a pretty simple process. Make sure you put all the pieces back where they go. That's why it's important to be a little better organized than I was. Make sure you're putting the screws in the right spot and keeping track of them so you don't lose any or have any left over at the end. The worst part about putting the case back together for the DS Lite is reconnecting that ribbon cable. At first it's going to be really hard. Like I said, I assembled and disassembled this thing numerous times, so by the end I was pretty good. I knew how to get my finger in there and press it down, but you do want to be careful with that because it's obviously very important. It connects the battery and all the back shoulder buttons and stuff to the actual board. This is where you get your power. This is where the whole thing lives. If it's broken, it's not going to turn on. It's not going to work properly if it does. So you do want to be careful when you connect this. It goes on pretty easily if you just can line it up right. You just don't force it. Don't get too anxious. Be a little bit patient, and it should work out fine. And really, that's like the one thing I would stress about putting this back together, taking it apart, is be careful with that ribbon cable. You can replace it. I'm sure you can find a replacement on eBay or somewhere if you did destroy it, but no one wants to go through that hassle. So, and once again, the dental pick comes in to save the day. And we'll put the battery pack back in, and we can test out and see if our cleaning had any effect, if it fixed the issue or what. And the left trigger works, and after cleaning it out a couple more times, the right trigger works. Now we have a fully functioning DSi. The next thing to do is clean it up and get it looking good as new. First thing I do is remove the sticker. I hate stickers on consoles. This void sticker actually came off pretty simple. Must have been put on there by some game shop that had already worked on it once and wanted to prevent people from opening it back up, but that came off pretty simple. Then I just went through with some isopropyl alcohol, thoroughly cleaned the inside and out of the system. Everywhere you touch, you just wanted to get the grime that had built up over the years, because I mean the system's probably something like 15 years old. There's a lot that can build up over the years that you really don't want to think about, and I don't want to ship this to somebody and have them be like, oh, look, it's disgusting. So I want it to look as new as possible. I want it to feel good in their hands. I want them to enjoy what they're buying. I don't want to gyp them, If it takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of time on my part to make it look better, I'm going to do that. So, there's some scuffs on the screen that I get off. I take a Q-tip, thoroughly go all around the console. There's some spot here that dental pick came in handy again to scrape off. So, like I said, it's a minor thing, but the dental pick, it really was the saving grace in this one. I ended up using a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean the outside of the case, help clean up some of the scuffs. Mr. Clean Magic Erasers are great at removing stains, but you do have to be careful that you don't press too hard or it will remove kind of the top layer, because it is a very abrasive, almost sandpaper-ish type of material. Overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It looks relatively new. It obviously has some scuffs that can't come out on the shell, but overall it's certainly cleaner, and I think it looks pretty good. I did end up buying a stylus and a charger to put with it when I put it on eBay and sold it that way. And that's the end of the video. I hope you learned something useful from it. If you ever run into a problem with your DSi, whether it be opening it up or fixing a shoulder button or just cleaning in general, Please like and subscribe. This is my first video, and I hope to make more. Thank you.